Okay, everybody. Hi there. In theory, we're getting started. The microphone is in front of me. It tells me that the microphone is making noise, so I'm gonna believe it this time. I got the background up. I tested the game to make sure the game works. I've done all my stuff. Everything's supposed to work this time. If the sound is wrong, now is your time to tell me the sound is wrong and you don't like it. That's what we're doing. So let's start off the stream with my now traditional apology for not streaming for a while. Um, ah. So here's the thing about life. For those of you who've been on the Discord, and for those of you who haven't been on the Discord, by the way, right there, where there, I can never point at things. There, right there. There's the link to the Discord. You should go to the Discord. We want people there. Anyway, so for those of you who've been on the Discord, uh, you know it's been bad for us lately. It's been a hard summer. It's been starting around May or so. Things kind of went bad around here. And it's interesting. Nobody ever explains to you how things are gonna go bad. Like, I mean, it's not traditional game development bad. It's not bad in the sense like, oh, our project got canceled or our publisher is blah blah blah. It's not what you think it's gonna be. It's been this constant string of bad things happening to our staff, and I don't know if we're cursed or if it's. Honestly, the truth is we're just an old company, and we are full of old people, and we are dealing with old people issues. And when you get to a certain age, yeah, your parents die and get sick, and you have health issues, and your teeth fall out, and bad stuff that you just weird. And all of those things I just mentioned have happened to somebody in the studio recently. There's just a bunch of stuff. And when you put together a plan for how you're going to make your game, and you sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to have these features, and I'm going to do this stuff, and we're going to need this data, we're going to need to draw these pictures, and then we're going to have time, and you plan all that in, but nowhere in your schedule do you say, like, yeah, this is the week where so-and-so's father-in-law is going to die, and he's not going to be here because he's got to go to funerals. Like, you don't put that thing in the schedule, but that's life. That's how the world works. And sooner or later, it's been my mantra lately. And the thing that's kind of gotten me through everything is this one little sort of mantra like phrase. I keep telling myself, there's always some shit. Like, it doesn't matter where you're doing, you're like, you put your plan together and you're like, yeah, but what about the shit? I mean, what shit? There's always some shit. Something's gonna happen, and that something is gonna be a thing that you got to deal with, and you sort that out. And I'm gonna take a bit of a digression. One of the things that has gotten me through the last few months of stress and whatnot has been, and please don't judge me for this, it's been watching Downton Abbey, of all things. I had never actually watched Downton Abbey. I had heard about Downton Abbey, but I'd never actually watched it, and I had been wondering what that show was like, because I guess a lot of people were into Downton Abbey. And so I started watching it, and I realized I loved it, and not because of the reasons most people like it, I think. What for me was really cool about the show was, if you watch most entertainment today, if I go watch a movie or TV show, the stakes are really high. It's the world's gonna destroy itself, and I'm the hero, and I've got to build this rocket ship and fill it full of mutant energy and send it to the sun, and the stakes are right up here, right? If you don't do but in Downton Abbey, the stakes are like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make the cake for the party. And that's like their thing. They're like there's a whole episode about, shit, can we make the cake? Or so and so's is it a good idea for Daisy to study? And you're like, wow, that's actually how life works. I mean, most of us will not save the world or cure cancer, or honestly, the things that most of us are going to do in our lives are quite pedestrian. And me as a game developer, I look at all of the stuff that I do and I get really upset about it, but in the end of the day, I'm making a stupid little game that the vast, vast, vast majority of the world will never even hear about, much less play. Unless you make one of the top 10 games in the world, the vast majority of the world will not hear about it or play it, right? I mean, it's just the way that things are. We are small people doing small things. And I was watching this Downton Abbey, and I was thinking to myself, this is actually the way the world works. Because even though you're a small person and you're doing small things, we're a little tiny team making a little tiny game, and most of the world doesn't know or care about us. We have a little tiny stream with a little tiny audience. Everything we do is on this little tiny scale, but for us, it's a big deal. And you know what? When my mom gets sick, or my mom doesn't get sick anymore, she's dead. But when my mother-in-law gets sick, it's a big deal for me because that's my life. And everybody lives their life in a life like that. And for everyone, the stuff that happens to them is really critical and really important. And to sit and quietly watch a show where the stakes are actually kind of like the stakes in my own life, I don't know, it was very relaxing for me. I haven't finished yet. I'm still, no spoilers, I'm still on like season, I think I just started the last season. I don't know, it's Netflix, I've been binging them. So anyway, there's my little Downton Abbey story. I want to talk to you about some other things. So why have we not been streaming? Sure, life's been hard, blah, blah, blah. Shut up, you big whiner. Why didn't you stream? All right. To be very honest, I didn't stream because I didn't know how many times I could come here and tell you it ain't done yet. And I actually had, and of course he's not here. He's never here when I talk about him. But Renegade Pies is one of our fans. Can we call it fans? I don't know what. Our players, our audience, our people. Anyway, he yelled at me and he was like, dude, we don't necessarily just need to hear about the game and how many features you've added. We're curious how the team is and how the team is doing. And I thought about it and I'm like, A, I was touched because, wow, Pi said something nice. That doesn't happen much, right? And two, he's right. Part of what makes this kind of fun and part of what makes the stream interesting and the Discord interesting and all of that is we've tried to sort of open up the door and show people this is what the real life of game development is like. And I could do a live stream every day where I, enunciated all the features and opened up the tables and showed you the data. And hopefully I'll be doing some of that in the future because some of you guys are into that. But for me, what I think is maybe more interesting is when I watch a TV show or I watch a movie or some other kind of thing that I'm into, even the authors that I read, I'm always a little bit curious. Like, what's their life like? What do they do? What's it like to put something like this together? And so I've tried to sort of open up the team and show you what it is like for a small indie game dev team to build titles. I don't know if that's interesting to you guys. It would be interesting to me if I was interested in games, which I am, I guess. But for me to pull away and not show you a live stream because I'm sad because we haven't done very much, well, that's part of the process too. I guess one of my big worries is we made promises, and I said, okay, we're going to have a beta done by this date. And we're going to be in early access by this date. And the game development is full of horror stories of people who have made promises. And I could list off, 10 or 15 stories that you've heard from the game industry about, bigger, more important games than us having issues because their people, said they were going to do things that they ended up not being able to do. And you go all the way back to what's his name, Phil Fish and Fez and him saying, "Oh, it's going to be the greatest game, and we're going to do that." And you know what? I played Fez. It was a good game. I got no problems with Fez as a game. But because he consistently promised that it would be out earlier and blah blah blah, people got really butthurt and they got really upset with him because he didn't live up to his promises. The same thing. The guys who are that did No Man's Sky. I guess. They made a lot of promises about what No Man's Sky was going to do, and people got really excited about those promises. And, the team that made No Man's Sky, I promise you, I don't know them. I don't know any of those people. I don't know anything. I've actually never even played the game, but I've read enough news about it to know. I'm certain that those people meant well. I'm certain that the people who made that game genuinely wanted to deliver everything that they said that they would deliver. And they tried their best to make that thing happen, and they couldn't. They couldn't deliver some of the things that they thought they would deliver, or some of the things that they delivered was less fun than they thought it would be, blah, blah, blah. And they got trashed. They got absolutely trashed for it. Because the differential between expectation and reality was too large. And taken of its own, if No Man's Sky had just shipped and you had never heard of it before, and it had just been a thing that showed up in the world and suddenly you had it available to you, I think a lot of people would have liked it. But because it didn't meet the expectation of the promises, a lot of people got really butthurt and it got really negative press. And as Silent One just said over in chat, they had an update, and apparently the update was pretty good, and now there's a bunch of stuff in it. And maybe if they had hyped themselves less and delivered later and delivered the full updated version, or maybe just hyped themselves less and, you know, released an early access version where they had downplayed what it was going to be and released. There's a lot of different things that they could have done with their messaging that might have made the experience better. And I read a whole article where they went and they interviewed the staff of the game, and it was really sad because they seemed like really nice people. And again, I don't know them from Adam. I only know what I've read in articles, but they seemed real nice, and I felt, you know, a kinship with them, and thought, you know, I've been in their place before. I've promised stuff and not been able to deliver it, or ship something and been sad that it wasn't all I hoped it would be. Monsters Inc. But they were trying their best, and they didn't give up, and they kept pounding away at it, and, you know, respect to them. But, you know, the overhype. I mean, probably the best example, the biggest example of this is Star Citizen, right? I don't know those guys personally. I've been to some parties with some of those guys, but I don't know them personally. And yeah, there's some serious hype, and a lot of money got put into that. And I think that's one of the big issues is with them, the hype came with money. People had believed the hype. And come on, some of the hype for that game was unrealistic. But people believed the hype. They put a bunch of money behind the hype. And then when the hype didn't deliver, they were like, hey, dude, I gave you a bunch of money. It's one of the things that I've resisted trying. You know, we didn't do a Kickstarter for this game because I'm scared of it now. I'm scared of the overhype cycle. But in all of those cases, I think those developers meant well, and we also mean well. I hope that Last Regiment is going to be a great game, and we're working very hard to make it a great game. But I don't want to give promises about when we're going to deliver a beta or when we're going to deliver a early access and stuff to the public right now. Obviously, we have some dates internally that we're trying to hit, but I'm now very leery about expressing those dates because people get their hopes up and they go and promise people, hey, my friend wants to play, and can he get in on beta? Sure, you can get in the beta when we do it next week, and then next week happens, the beta doesn't happen, and I've now caused you to make a promise to your friend that you can't keep, and that's shit on my part. And again, Downton Abbey, we're really small potatoes. This is not, nothing in the world changes. And I'm highly aware of the fact that while, you know, people come and they support us and they've done a great, you know, we appreciate everybody who's here. We appreciate our people. I know that we're a small part of our people's lives, and they have a million other things going on, and we're just a little tiny bit, and I'm proud to be that little tiny bit, but I try to be respectful with a little tiny bit of people's life that I take. So there's that. There's my mea culpa to the world about Last Regiment. What do I got on my notes to talk about? Yeah, all right. So it's interesting talking about all of this. It's a cliche, but it's very true that there is a triangle of development. And the triangle of development has 3 points, right? You have quality, you have cost, and you have time, right? And, you know, the old joke that everyone's heard, pick 2, right? You can have any 2 of those, but you can't have all 3. And as cliche as it is, it's also totally true. And if we start promising that it's going to definitely happen by this date, and I only have this much money, well, guess which part of the triangle doesn't get met, right? And what we know acutely is in the current environment of game development, shipping a game that's anything less than awesome doesn't work. Good games die terrible deaths and cost people a lot of money. You think that it's the crap games that cost a lot of money. It's not. Crap games get canceled relatively early. Crap games don't go that far unless you're really stupid. Good games make it all the way to ship. Good games get marketing budget. Good games get a lot of energy put into them. But good games right now don't make any money. You have to be a great game to make money. You have to be an awesome game to make money anymore. And the differential between a good game and an awesome game is a lot of playtesting. It's changes. It's letting an audience play it and getting real notes and reacting to those notes. And all of this takes time, and when you run a studio that pays its staff, money. So we are continuing to put time and money into this game to try to bring it from being what I believe now is a good game to being a great game. And there's been a lot of resistance even in the staff to this. You know, when are we going to ship it? When is it? Why are we still working on this thing? Why isn't it done yet? And getting back to my not wanting to give promises, this is one of the reasons why I pulled back on my promises and said, no, we're not going to make a bunch of promises about when we're going to be in early access or when we're going to ship, because the game's not great yet. And until the game is great, I don't see the point in releasing it. And for those of you who might disagree with this point of view, I would like to point to Legends of Callasia, which was a good game. I'm proud of that game. I'm happy that we put it out. It actually got quite good reviews. A lot of you guys are here watching Last Regiment because you enjoyed Legends of Callasia. So it would be very difficult for me to say that that was a bad game. It was a good game. Didn't make us very much money. And it cost us quite a lot of money to make. Now we didn't get our, you know, we didn't get destroyed financially by that game, but we certainly didn't make a lot of money on it. And again, we're a professional studio. We pay our staff, and if we don't make money, I can't pay the staff. That's the way that works, right? So I've made a promise to myself that I won't release this game until I believe this game is great, because I don't believe it is in the interest of the studio or in the interest of the staff or in the interest of, most importantly, the users, our people, so to speak, that we release anything that's not great. That being said, it's getting really good. I don't think it's quite great yet, but it is getting really good. And I can tell you from my point of view, I currently have a lot more fun playing this game than I do Callasia. Now, it has differences, and it's not exactly the same game. And I think some people who played Callasia may not like some of the things we did in Last Regiment because they are more strategic. I should actually say they're more tactical. There's a little bit more fiddliness to it. There's a little bit more moving stuff around. There's a little less randomness to it. But on another angle, there is a lot more simplicity to this game. It's a lot easier to understand the mechanics. It's a lot easier to understand from the beginning what you're getting into and what things do. And our lesson from Callasia is not having that factor in our game is a huge problem. If people get into the game and they don't inherently understand the mechanics, they don't stick around. We had a lot of people teach people how to play Legends of Callasia, which was, was great in the sense that, those people were great to do it. But it was sad for me in the sense that we needed people to do that. I wish that people could have gotten into the game and the game could have explained itself, and it wouldn't have needed other people to teach people how to play it. And this is one of the huge goals that we've set for ourselves with Last Regiment, to make that thing happen. I think we're getting there. I'm really proud of this game. I'm really proud of what it's becoming. I don't know when it ships, to be quite honest. On the good side, there has been a lot of other developments inside the studio. I can't actually talk about them because we're under non-disclosure agreements for most of them. But we actually are doing quite well in other parts of our studio. Other things that we're working on with other partners, I'm actually extremely pleased with. We got some other great games coming out that I can't talk about. Some really exciting stuff. One thing that... one of the reasons I haven't been streaming, one of the other reasons I've been streaming, I've been traveling quite a lot. And this travel has literally nothing to do with Last Regiment. It has to do with a number of other things that we're doing inside the studio. I've been going to places in Asia and all around. I can't talk too much about where I've been going or what I've been doing because it lets too many cats out of the bag. But I will be going. I will not be streaming next week, but I will be streaming the week after. The reason I won't be streaming next week is I won't wait, next week? Excuse me. I will stream next week. There's a calendar up there. That's what the weird me gazing off in the distance was. I will be here next week. I won't be here the week after that because I will be in Germany. it is time for Gamescom, and we will be going to Gamescom. We will not be showing Last Regiment at Gamescom. I will not be there with a booth. I will be there as a business person, talking business and talking about other games and things like that. So I won't be here for the week of the 20 whatever that week. I won't be here. I'll be in Germany, and this is part of the other stuff we're doing in the studio. The reason I bring it up here in this stream is because the rest of the studio is doing reasonably well, we continue to have the funding to build our own self project here. Making this game is not free, and when I say that we're not ready to ship it yet and we want to put more time into it, that is a financial decision on my part. That is me saying I'm going to take money out of my pocket, and actually my business partner's pocket, and we're going to put that money into the pockets of Nelson and Adrian and Patrick and June and the other people who are making this game for a longer period of time, instead of having them do something else that might get us money sooner. But I believe in that decision. I believe that's the right thing to do, but I don't have the freedom to do that unless we continue making other projects and doing stuff with the rest of the studio, which we are continuing to do, and that's going well. So even though it's not actually Last Regiment news, it's good news for Last Regiment. It means we get to continue developing. So there's all of that. That's all of the big high-end, why we haven't been streaming, where we've been going, blah, blah, blah stuff.